25-point deficit with 8:07 remaining in that frame. He made 6 of 9 three-pointers for the game. Here's PG with our Malika Andrews.
You guys have been the comeback kings with and without you on the floor this season. Now that you're back, now that you're healthy, and you're looking at the playoff picture, how do you see this season shaking out for you all?
We just got to get one of these spots. Finish this year off. Like I said, I challenge the guys to start shaping into a playoff team. We got to do that now, opposed to getting to the play-in game, and now we're trying to pull it together and be a playoff team. It starts now. We got to start building and getting some chemistry going, some consistency going, and then from there we can do just about anything. We've had a great playoff run last year. I think we're a better team this year, and so anything can happen. We just got to lock in one of these spots.
First of all, great to see PG back. Do you think that he and the Clippers could give the Suns or Grizzlies a series?
Hell no. No, I don't. I think Phoenix and Memphis are exponentially, and obviously I think Golden State could be in that conversation depending upon the health of Steph and Draymond in the back, and how Clay coming off missing 2 years of playing the game of basketball. I still think they're a year away from being back to where they were. But I think Phoenix and Memphis are by far the two best teams in the Western Conference. And I love Paul George. Now, if you're telling me Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were coming back, I might have to take a second and pause, Molly. You know what I mean, Wendy?
Of course.
Those two players combined with Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson, Zubac, the way they defend, Ty Lue as a coach. But I don't see Paul George being enough to get them over the hump with the way. Have you seen Memphis defend? I know we talk a lot about what Memphis's record is without Ja, which is 18-2. But with Ja Morant healthy, they are dogs. Have you seen the basketball gods may have gifted Chris Paul, the point guard, the best gift of all time, even better odds than what they were last year with win a championship this year. So I watch both those teams. They are by far the best teams in Western Conference. Clippers are good. They're fine. I can see them maybe get to the Western Conference semis, but I don't see them going above that.
First off, extremely impressive performance from Paul George to not play for 40 games.
Yeah.
Come back and score 34. And by the way, just rip open a wound on the Jazz last night. The Jazz
did it last year, right?
Yeah,
Game 6.
25. The Jazz were up 25 in this game. Paul George he led the Clippers back. So the Clippers have not been playing well. They actually just came off their worst 10-game stretch of the season. Getting Paul back was vital for them. They're not playing their best basketball right now. I know that the playoffs aren't today, but I can't look at the way they're playing and say, oh, yeah, I see a team that shows indications that they're taking off. Now, they win their next 6 games, and Ja can't come back. These are pieces of information I don't have. Well, then I might have a different opinion on this, but I just don't see. And, if it's the 8th seed, forget about Phoenix. The Phoenix is playing some of the most technically perfect basketball I've ever seen. What Chris Paul is doing, he's not going to win the MVP, but I'm really considering giving him an honorary spot on my ballot just because I've never seen a guy operate a team and lead a team. Almost never seen a guy like that this year. So I don't think anybody's taken. I don't think this team's taken flight. Even if Kawhi came back and played, just because he has no rhythm.
Played.
But that's why Kawhi wouldn't come back, because he knows that they can't beat them.
I wonder when Kawhi is going to come back.
Well, they won't. They still won't rule him out. If they can end up winning that play-in game, which right now would be against Minnesota, I don't love.
Game. That's a tough game.
And they get the 7th seed, and Ja is not playing, I guess I give them a chance to take a couple of games. But how can I say that?
Their record without Ja so impressive. That 18-2, it's unreal. By the way, Donovan Mitchell real frustrated yesterday. You could see that too. I know we showed the Paul George sound, but him just frustrated with that squad altogether.
I also want to say, I find it when players start saying 6 games left in the regular season, we have to find our rhythm. It's time for us to kick it into playoff gear. I'm like, man, it's past the time.
Yeah. Habits.
It's past the time. Exactly. Your habits translate to the playoffs, and your habits haven't been that great, and you're trying to, insert yourself back into the lineup. And I get what offensive boost that can make, but I don't think that's nowhere close enough to get over the hump of a fully healthy Memphis and Phoenix team. We should not even be discussing that. I
I
think it's a disservice to how good Memphis
they're
and
steaming.
Phoenix actually
they're
are.
Steaming mad. Des Bain wants to have something to say.
Up against it. We'll be back. Most skilled duo. Think about it. Still to come on First Take. Did you hear Russell Westbrook after the game last night? You got to hear what he...
Remaining games. Right now, they're trying to avoid a 50-loss season. 50 losses. I mean, it's insane that they're even in position to be in the play-in. They should be thanking the breaks that they're lucky to be in the play-in. I mean, there hasn't even been a team in the Western Conference make the playoffs with an under 500 record since 1997. Yeah. Normally, they would have been on vacation in Cancun for a month already.
Yeah. I would have bet you a vacation in Cancun that we were going to see the Lakers and the Nets in this year's finals. Very wrong on that.
Look, I said a month ago that I didn't think they were going to make the play-in tournament. And it seems like there was this false reality of people living in this space that are saying, whoa, when they get it all together. I'm like, if you watch this team play consistently, there is nothing in my basketball mind that makes me think they're going to actually figure it out and they're all going to come together. You're telling me now after AD missing 4 months of playing, he's going to come back and be the savior? Probably. You're telling me now LeBron James with a sore left knee and a twisted left ankle that he's going to come back and drop 50 plus? You're telling me all of a sudden Russ is going to figure it out? You're telling me all of a sudden Frank Vogel defensively, this team is average. They went from being one of the top defensive teams a year ago to being average. They're going to figure it out scheme-wise? No, they're not. The best thing to do, I'm telling you, and I know people are going to say, well, LeBron, you made this mess. You got to fight for it. Business decision, Wendy. I almost called you Greeny. Praise the Lord.
We saw
Wendy,
you on Get
I
Up.
just saw Greeny.
It's
We
all
were just
good.
with Greeny 5 minutes ago. Shut it down. Like, I start thinking about what's in my best interest going into year 20 of my NBA career, going into year 38. I know he's not going to shut it down, but I don't want to increase the probability of LeBron James getting hurt. I don't want to see what happened to another great Laker player in Kobe Bryant who was trying to play off an injury and then injured himself more. Not when you're fighting for a 10 spot.
Yeah, I was just going to say, but when you have AD potentially coming back, and if you
See,
get,
there's
let me just say LeBron back healthy, you get it all together, and you never know injuries. I'm not wishing injury ever on anyone, but you're not saying that they could get a series when we're talking about that big three. You never know. That's why I feel like
is LeBron going to come back healthy? Is he going to come back healthy? You're telling me
when has he ever really been healthy in the playoffs?
Well, that's my thing. Now he has
a
rolled ankle. Is AD going to come back healthy? You're telling me AD is going to come back healthy?
I mean, if you want to get LeBron into a bad mood as fast as possible, bring up minutes. He just doesn't want to hear it. He's like, you don't know what minutes do to my body. I know what minutes do to my body. I gave up talking about minutes to LeBron 5 years ago because he gave us all a lecture about how we don't know. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that he doesn't listen to that. That doesn't mean anything to him. I mean, just last week, he played the back-to-back in Washington and Cleveland. And Frank Vogel was saying, this is a guy should be the example for the rest of the league because he always plays. He always plays. And the thing was, 3 years ago, his first year in LA, he did shut it down the stretch. He had that groin injury. But the difference was they had their draft pick. Ended up being really smart. They tanked at the end. They ended up, got really lucky. They ended up getting the 4th pick, and it was the key moment that got them to the title the next year because they traded it as a central piece for Anthony Davis. They don't have their pick. So, if you're looking at LeBron and AD for competitive people, I think Molly, I think you're right. Yeah. But I think what Molly is saying is going to win the day.
And I'll just
I believe that for sure.
I'll just wrap by saying this really quick. Yesterday, I brought up the LeBron thing, and I said self-serving, maybe not the best choice of words in terms of he just passed Karl Malone, keep playing, wanting the minutes, et cetera. And JJ Redick kind of said, you can't have it both ways. You can't call out guys for load management and then be mad at LeBron for wanting to play. And that was a really good point. I had no response on that because it's true. And we do that, and we can't have it both ways. We're going to keep it going here, guys. Giannis with the block for the win. The Bucks beating the Sixers in Philly, 118-116. Antetokounmpo getting the better of Joel Embiid, his competition not just in the East, but for MVP. On Tuesday, Jokic overtook